Breeze Nation, C-Red Nation, Bears fans, what is good? It is your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us for another episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. On today's show, we got to preview this Bears game because I know there's a lot of changes that just happened with this team. I know there's a lot of things that just went down with this team, adding Chase Claypool, removing Roquan Smith, removing Robert Quinn, but there is quite a bit that can be gleaned from this week versus the Miami Dolphins. So we're going to preview the game. We're going to look at what we can learn from the Chicago Bears this week. And also, we got to react to last night's Bulls game, man. Bulls did an excellent job last night coming away with a win, a team win, the bench unit showing out. So we'll get into all that and more in today's episode of The Breeze. Make sure that you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. How you feeling today, man? How are y'all out there? Because I'm going to be honest with you, right? There is a buzz around Chicago right now that has me so excited by what we're seeing with this team. We're the Bears, the Bulls, every one of our teams has me feeling a little bit of a buzz, has me feeling a little bit of excitement, has me looking at what the future holds for these teams. And I'm like, hold on now, wait a minute. We got something cracking here, you know what I'm saying? Patrick Williams showing out last night, playing his most aggressive game that we've ever seen from him this season, and I'll be honest with you, in his career, right? Like I'm a little excited. You know, we got Chase Claypool coming in here. How you feeling in the chat, man? Let me get them Bear Downs. Let me get them C-Reds in the chat, man. Chicago, stand up. Y'all already know what it is. We got a game this week versus the Miami Dolphins. It's not going to be an easy game, right? Like, I know I've been very critical of Tua, but the boy gets the job done. And I think that that's the one part that kind of you look at coming into this game and you're like, I feel like the Bears could get to Tua, but also you just got rid of probably your best pass rusher. They've got a nice offensive line working out over there. You end up moving on from Roquan Smith and bringing A.J. Klein. So you probably got the Jack Sanborn, Nicholas Morrow show going on over there. Bears are dealing with some injuries coming into this week. It doesn't look good, at least right now when you're starting this week. But here's what I'm gleaning from this. Here's what I'm looking for to see from the Chicago Bears this week. Here's what I'm really focusing in on around this team. What are you going to show me when adversity hits? What are you going to show me when adversity comes through for this team? What are you going to show me when you don't have the same team that you had the week before? I'm looking at this game, and this is a game to me that I am focusing in on the Chicago Bears coaching staff. This is the game that I'm listen, Justin Fields, right? He's going to have to make plays. He's going to have to get the job done. David Montgomery's going to have to be able to run the ball. And I think that those are two things, right, that the Bears can kind of do pretty well, even versus the Dolphins. We've seen the Bears run the ball successfully versus the best teams in the NFL at this point, even teams that are great at stopping the run. We know what the Bears' identity is. They're going to put the ball on the ground. They're going to try and ground and pound this thing. Justin Fields is going to try and make plays with his legs, right? They've got a new weapon over there in Bradley Chubb that is a little bit scary to see coming off the edge. It's like, oh God, Bradley Chubb, like, hey, just when you thought the week was already tough, because they actually have a really nice defense up in Miami. But then you add Bradley Chubb into that, and it's like, okay, this got a lot harder. This got a lot tougher. This is going to make things a little bit more difficult coming into this week. But I'm really focusing in on the coaching staff in this game. Because to me, this is a game that's about preparation through the adversity and still having your team ready. I'm not saying that I expect the Bears come in here to get a dub. I think at this point, right, like we've seen so many changes. It would be very surprising for me if the Bears came in and got a dub in this one. It would be very shocking for me if the Bears came out of this one with a win. But I think the thing that I'm focusing in on is, right, how does Matt Eberflus have his team ready? And we've seen Flus on a couple of different situations where you look at, right, the mini bye, coming back off of that versus Dallas, his team being down, fighting their way back. And here's the weird part about it, right? Like, I think I can speak for most Bears fans as we're coming into this week here versus Miami and say we feel better about this Bears team off a 50-point loss than we did at the beginning of the season when this Bears team was beating teams by 3. Like, I feel bad. I feel better about this Bears team off of a game where we lost 49-29 than I did at the beginning of the season. We were beating teams by 3. That's what I'm talking about right there, right? Like, you could tell that the Bears were prepared to play that game and that they just didn't have the talent to do so. Now, I'm not saying that you come into this game with the talent to do so, right? There's still a lot of holes on this team. There's a lot of holes that just aren't going to be fixed this season. But I really want to see kind of how Flus gets his team ready, gets his team prepared to go out there versus the Miami Dolphins, a team that, listen, they can get after you and they can put up points on you. I think the only chance the Bears have at this game, and here's going to be the first taste of it, right? Your GM chose offense over defense. Ryan Poles chose offense over defense. He said, guess what? I need this defense. I can build another defense. I can find a way to get another defense going here. Offensively, the Chicago Bears need to be a better team. Offensively, the Chicago Bears need to do a better job moving the ball down the field. Don't know yet if Claypool is going to play, but that would be an absolute asset. Also, want to see Luke Getsy work N'Keal Harry into this offensive game plan here on Sunday a little bit more, because I think that will be big for the Chicago Bears moving forward, getting him more involved. And it seems like, listen, he hasn't been targeted a lot, but when the ball goes towards him, he catches the ball, brings it in. He's gotten, 2 targets this season? I believe he's caught both of them for one for a 16-yard gain, one for a touchdown, right? But I'm really just I think last week versus Dallas, and it's something that you can carry into this week with all the changes that have happened, right? I know it sounds crazy to say after a 49-29 game, but we absolutely saw improvement. I was sitting there watching the tape, and yeah, there were moments where Justin Fields was absolutely on the run. There were moments where Justin Fields absolutely was running for his life, but we saw moments where the offensive line held, created a pocket. Justin Fields was able to deliver the ball. We saw moments where Luke Getsy was putting getting that offensive line in motion. And here's the thing, right? I think Bears fans think that it's a ton. It's not a ton. It's not a ton, at least from what I'm seeing, right? You see the offensive line get in motion maybe 5-6 times a game. Outside of that, right, it's Justin Fields simply making a play with his legs. It's not like every play Luke Getsy is sending the offensive line to get in motion, and now Justin Fields is rolling out the other way. No, he's definitely doing it some, but like, it's just a lot of Justin Fields making plays, Justin Fields making players better, Justin Fields being great. Like, literally, as I watched that tape last week, I was like, it convinced me so much on the kind of quarterback that we have in the building right now. It's the first time I've ever seen a quarterback in a Chicago Bears uniform look like, wow, he's the best player on the field outside of Micah Parsons. Offensively, he's the best player on the field. And that's on a field that included Dak Prescott. That's on a field that included Tony Pollard. And Dak played really, really well. Tony Pollard, 3 touchdowns that day. But Dak had a lot of things in front of him that made his life easier. Justin Fields did not, and he still looked really, really good. And so that excites me coming into this week, right? Like, I don't have the gloom and doom on the offensive side going into this week that I've had in previous years. I look at this week and I say, hey, listen, if your offensive line can at least hold up now, it's not going to be an easy day. I don't know who's playing on the Dolphins side either, right? I don't know if Chubb's going to get in right away or how that's going to work. Probably. I mean, a lot of these trades, being that, they got a couple of days in there and they're going to get a couple of days in practice. I don't know if Claypool's going to play, because to me, we've seen Flus kind of wait things out. He's absolutely waited till the absolute time where somebody's the most prepared to put them out there. And I kind of like that, right? Because it doesn't give you a bad taste in your mouth of the athlete, doesn't give you a bad taste in your mouth of the player, right? You're not sitting there looking like, why the heck can't this guy make a play? Why the heck can't this guy get the job done? So I like that. And I think he's probably going to hold off because you don't want your first look of Chase Claypool to be Chase Claypool that just, he can't move, he can't get the job done. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's probably not going to put Claypool out there this week, but maybe, you know, I don't know. We'll see kind of what that ends up being. But at the end of the day, right, I think the thing that you have to kind of focus in on, especially coming into this week, is, okay, how prepared is this Bears team? How ready to go out here against the Dolphins is this Bears team? That's the part that I'm focusing on. That's the part that I'm looking at, and I'm saying, hey, not for nothing, but the Bears look like the more prepared team versus the Cowboys. They just look like they didn't have talent. Right? Like, it just looked like, it's not a very talented team. To me. That's what it looked like to me. So I think versus his Dolphins, I know early on in the year, I did have the Bears getting the win on this one. I'm probably going to pivot off of that, and hopefully I am absolutely wrong. Hopefully I am absolutely wrong. But I do think that I don't think Tua is this great quarterback. I don't think Tua is this grandstand quarterback. I don't think Tua is this, he's going to go out there and he's going to sling that thing and he's going to dominate you play in and play out. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't believe it. I just don't, right? But I think that he's got a lot of really good players in front of him. I think that he's got a lot of really good players that can make plays standing in front of him, and I think that's going to help him out quite a bit. And listen, I love Jalen Johnson. I love Kyler Gordon. I love all of those guys, right? There's not much that they can do with Tyreek Hill. There's not much that they can do with Jalen Waddle, right? Like, there's just not. And that's okay. You gotta work through your growing pains here. There's not much that I think the Bears are really going to be able to do realistically with the offense of Miami. So I do see Miami coming away with this one with a win. But I think, right, the Bears might surprise Miami's defense a little bit with some of the things that they might be able to throw at the quarterback or at that defense. You know what I mean? Like, I think that Justin Fields is that level of athlete. This is what we're seeing from Justin Fields right now. Damon saying big game for Cole Kmet. What we're seeing from Justin Fields right now, honestly, reminds me very much of what we saw from Deshaun Watson his rookie year. Now we're in the second year of Justin Fields. We're running a completely different scheme. It actually looks like our coach can call plays. I think that those things are pluses for the Chicago Bears, right? But to me, it looks like rookie year Deshaun Watson out there. Doesn't look like he's got years to stand behind the pocket. He's creating things. He's creating something out of nothing, consistently creating something out of nothing. He's showing you that he has the ability to do more, which is why Ryan Poles went out and got him a piece so that he could show that he could do more. And so I think that Justin Fields will be able to do enough to show, and with how Luke Getsy is scheming this thing, how Luke Getsy is preparing his team, how Luke Getsy is looking at, okay, hey, listen, we're going to make these moves that are going to put us in a position to be successful. Darnell Mooney, you got to get open. N'Keal Harry, you got to get open. And honestly, right, like the offense just looks better as guys have come back and have kind of been able to slot in their real positions. So if we do see Chase Claypool, if we do see this Bears team bring Claypool out there, right, there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment there. But again, it's just, hey, Chase, can you get open? Can you catch? I think that's all I'm looking for in week 1 from Chase Claypool. Can you get open? Can you catch? Can you make plays? Can you find ways to make plays? Because Justin Fields is going to find ways to extend plays. Justin Fields just makes people miss. He just makes people miss. That's what reminds me of Deshaun, dog. Like, as you see Justin drop back, he goes to get set in the pocket. And I'm not saying, right, that the production has been the same, the output has been the same, but he gets set to go in the pocket. Boom, pocket's not there, breaks down. Justin Fields rolls out right. Somebody coming in his face, literally from the right-hand side. He just, step, you missed. Now I'm going to keep going. Now I got to direct a little bit of traffic. Boom. And he's throwing dots on the run. That's the part that gets me excited and it makes me feel like, right, now is the time. And appreciate y'all for tuning in and rock with us, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Let me know if you agree with this. And it's the reason why I'm talking about, right, this Miami Dolphins game with such focus. Like, I'm focusing in on this game probably closer than I've focused in on any game this season because of how much change has come around the Chicago Bears, because of how much the team is adjusting around Justin, how much they're focusing on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going into this week, and I know that the Bears have less talent. But when I look at this Bears team, they look prepared. And they look like they have a game breaker. I'm not saying Justin's at the final level. I'm not saying this is his final form. I'm not saying that he's going to be able to go out there and dominate all of a sudden, but they look like they finally have a game breaker. What's a game breaker? No matter what you game plan for him, he's going to be able to do something. That's the reason why the Giants are successful right now. That's the reason why the Giants are successful right now. You can game plan all you want for Saquon Barkley. You can say, we're going to put this here. We're going to make this happen. He's just that good. In the last 4 weeks of football that we've seen, Justin Fields has just been that good. More so the last 2 than anything. But Justin Fields has just been that good. And that's the part, right, with all of this that gets me excited coming into every week. And now it's because, right, like, now I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, this is a big week versus the Dolphins, not because it's a major game for your future for the rest of your time, right? But it's going to tell me a lot about how do you use your game breaker player? How do you utilize Justin Fields in this game? How do you utilize Justin Fields through a lot of change, a lot of turmoil on the other side? Listen, because here's the thing, right? Like, he's going to have to essentially, the way that the Bears win this game is by outscoring the other team. I have very minimal expectations on this defense after having so much change in 2 weeks. Very minimal. I'm not saying that they're going to be awful. I'm not saying that they're going to give up 50 every week the rest of the way through. I'm not saying that at all, right? Because I do think that Alan Williams, I think Alan Williams coaches guys in, how do I want to say this the right way? I think that he understands enough that guys are in the right position. It's just the execution of being in that position, right? So Roquan was in perfect position last week, sheds a block on Tony Pollard coming up the middle, but just didn't make the tackle. But he knew where to be. The mental game is more of the battle sometimes in football than anything. He knew where to be. Ball was snapped. Roquan ran right to the right spot. They had their blocker. He sheds the blocker, but you just didn't make the tackle. And so I think that there's just a talent deficit on that defensive side of the ball, not a coaching deficit. And I'll keep focusing in on that this week too. But again, right, like I'm not expecting a ton because your talent got worse defensively. I think with talent, I can feel good about what Coach Williams is doing, especially when I'm watching the games. Like there's some, of course, there's going to be some plays that it's like they outdid you on this. They outcalled you on this. They out-schemed you on this. That happens in football. Everybody gets out-schemed. We just saw Coach Eberflus out-coach Bill Belichick. Nobody's going to say that Coach Flus is a better coach than Bill Belichick, right? Like it just happens sometimes in football. But I'm looking closely at this coaching staff this week because how are you preparing these guys? How are you getting them ready through the adversity? How are you getting them ready through the turmoil? How are you preparing them for this game? And honestly, right, like maybe that's me just saying, hey, I'm focused in on this. And I think this is a week that could tell you what kind of coaches you have. This is a week that'll tell you what kind of coach really exists in the room, right? Because the win versus Bill Belichick, yeah, that's crazy, right? The Bears go out there. They were the underdog. They put up 33. They blow them out. They dominated the New England Patriots. Dominated the Patriots. But Bill Belichick kind of doing his own thing, going back and forth with the quarterback thing, probably thought he could get the win no matter what, blah, 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 right? And the Bears come out and dominate them. Okay. Versus the Cowboys, defense looked dead. Big change on the defense that end. You end up losing Robert Quinn that week. Maybe Roquan knew what was coming. Maybe he knew the writing on the wall. Maybe he knew he wasn't going to be a part of this team anymore, which by the way, Roquan, I'm calling a little bit of cap on the I never expected to get traded when you asked for a trade. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about that one, dog. I don't know if I can follow you on that one, but I think that this is going to be okay, like with the Cowboys. Defense struggled, but the offense kind of picked up the slack. The offense got the defense going. All until that fumble, right? The offense messed up the game versus Dallas. Now, the defense, of course, giving up 42 points. No excuse there, right? But the offense messed up the game. Came out of the half, don't get the tutty. Fumble the football away. They score a touchdown the other way. That pretty much broke the game open. For the first time in my life, I've seen in 2 weeks the offense dictating what's going on the other side of the field. And so now I come into this Miami game, right? I think my point of that was that the situations were a lot more set in stone. You knew what you were getting. You knew what was coming in. You had a little bit more time to prepare in one of those games, right? But now, as you're coming into this Miami game, you traded people on a short week. Or not a short week. You traded people middle of the week, I should say. You're getting them in here. You're trying to work them in. You lost some pieces that were probably practicing with you Monday and Tuesday. Or no, when was the deadline? Tuesday and Wednesday. They had Monday off, I think. You had some pieces that probably were a part of this team that aren't going to be there no more. This is where I want to see what kind of coaching staff we have, right? Because now, okay, hey, guess what? Yeah, the situation has changed. The players have changed. That doesn't change the job that we have to do on Sunday. Does it change how we might be able to execute it? Maybe. And I like how Ryan Poles said that in his presser, right? He was like, listen, my expectations don't change on what I want this team. You should go out there and try to win every game. And I like hearing that from a GM. I like hearing him say that, right? Like the Bears might not have the talent to go out there and win every game, but you should go out there and try. I'm going to handle what I got to handle. There might be some changes coming. There might be some trades coming, different things like that. People might get cut. People might come back. But go out there and try and win every game. Justin Fields, his mentality on this hasn't changed. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try and win every game. And so for me, right, that's the part where I'm focusing so in. Flus, what do you got for me? Show me what you got for me. Because if you can deal with the adversity this week of having pieces come in, pieces go out in the middle of the week that are pivotal to this team, now I mean, this is a week that could build so much confidence in the coaching staff. Win, lose, or draw. If you're competitive this week, because you should get your doors blown off. Miami's been able to put up points a lot. It's weird. It don't look good. I swear, I watched Tua's tape, and I'm just like, maybe it's just because he's left-handed or something. But, like, it just looked bad coming off of the hand. The ball be like this. And then, like, Tyreek Hill catches it and just makes magic out of it. Jalen Waddle catches it and makes magic out of it, right? So really excited to see what the Bears are going to be able to put together here on versus Miami on Sunday. I've got us taking the L in this one after watching them. I can't say that we're a better team than Miami is. I know beginning of the season, right, my belief in Tua, it had nothing. I had no belief in Tua. I don't know if I have a ton of belief in Tua at this point either as like this great quarterback, but I do think that he's good enough to get the ball to guys that are much better than the Chicago Bears DBs, are much better than what the Bears can put on the field. And then on top of that, right, like I think it's going to have to be such a high-scoring affair for the Bears to compete in this one. And depending on what Getsy does with it, I don't know if we're going to be able to just go back and forth by adding Claypool in, just by adding Claypool in. You know what I mean? But the Bears have been able to score points. Miami won 31-27 versus the Lions last week. Bears have put up 33 and 29 in the last two games. So that's something to be excited about. That's something to really, for the Bears to really hang their hats on, man. I mean, I'm excited to see this game on Sunday, but I don't know. I don't know if it's going to go the Bears' way. I'm more so hoping for a competitive game down to the end that keeps us engaged, and maybe we get a little bit better draft stock this year by taking an L. Here's the weird part, right? As we go into like towards the second half of this season, while I want the Bears to be competitive and show me something in every game, I want a third place schedule going into next year. I want the Bears, when they finally put some of these pieces together and figure it out, to have a nice, simple transition going into next year. Give me this schedule next year. Oh, but Pat, that's the easy way out. If you want to win, you got to do it. Man, I ain't worried about the easy way out, the hard way out. You win games, you win games. It's about the development of Justin Fields. And you know what? If Justin Fields comes out and he has a 12-5 season, he's going to develop a lot better than if he goes out there and he has a 7-10 season. Give me a nice third place schedule to finish out the season, right? And I believe we're still in third place. I know we have the same record as the Packers, but I think the fact that the Packers beat us, and even in point differential, I think they got us as well. So, hey, I appreciate you guys tuning in and rocking with your boy, man. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Subscribe to the page. We're going to switch gears here a little bit, jump over to the NBA side, because the Chicago Bulls absolutely had a little bit to show last night, man. You want to talk about a bench and a coach doing a good job. We're going to break that down as well. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Appreciate you guys for showing love as always, man. You guys have come through continuously, and I appreciate tuning in with you guys, man. We did the Bulls live call last night, had a ton of fun on that live call. The Bulls really showed out versus the Charlotte Hornets. I was really excited by what I saw, not just by the Chicago Bulls being able to go out there offensively and get the job done with the bench scoring 49 points, but just seeing how they picked each other up. Last night was the first night the Chicago Bulls, to me, looked like a team that was able to pick up its starters when the chips were down. Last night they shot horribly. Nikola Vucevic, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, horrible. Vooch was Vooch, right? He rolls out of bed, he gets a double-double. That's what Vooch does. But your bench picks you up. Your bench goes out there and says, we got you. Goran Dragic leading the way. That's a win last night that last season the Chicago Bulls do not get. That's a win last night that last season the Chicago Bulls are unable to pull out. And I know it's because, the bench wasn't in, the bench was. It's not just that. Billy Donovan, rotations, on point. I love what we're seeing from Billy Donovan. I love how he's putting the Bulls in a position to go out there and be successful. I love how he's got a defensive unit. He's got an offensive unit. He's got his starting unit. He's got his bench unit, and he's matching them up perfectly game by game. Perfectly. Shout out to Billy Donovan for that, bro. The Chicago Bulls have one of the best benches in the NBA this season. And I know it sounds crazy, right? But I would say they probably have a top 5 bench in the NBA this season. A top 5 bench in the NBA this season. And it's just a testament to what AK was talking about all offseason with continuity. It's a testament to what AK was talking about all offseason with trying to build this team by, hey, guess what? We're going to keep our guys around. We're not going to make a big splash trade. We're going to add a few things. Again, I've said this multiple times. There's a foundation on this team, but it has some cracks in it. So we're going to take some concrete. We're going to cover that up. We're going to fill that in. We're going to fill in the cracks this season. Goran Dragic has absolutely filled in the cracks. Goran Dragic last night balling for the Chicago Bulls. The Dragon has been loose all season. All season as the Bulls got the 106-88 win last night, man. You saw Goran Dragic really come out. 16 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. And there's an understanding that, guess what? You're not going to get that from me every night. I'm 36 years old. You're not going to get that from Goran Dragic every night. But, again, this bench goes deep enough. You look at Alex Caruso, he only had 6 points, 3 assists. But the things that he was doing defensively, putting guys in a position to be successful, Billy Donovan, right, putting guys in a position to be successful. Doing a good job just playing the passing lanes. Ayo Dosunmu had a little bit of an off night last night as well. How did we pick that up? Javonte Green, he's got 17 points off of the bench and 8 rebounds. That's what continuity can do for you when you just add in a couple of pieces that get you to that next level. 49 points off of the Bulls bench last season. I believe Hayes hit me with this one over on Locked On Bulls today. By the way, check out the latest episode of Locked On Bulls. Also, if you're in here right now, man, 35 likes, 80 people in this month. Hit that like button, man. Appreciate y'all for showing love. He said it took the Chicago Bulls 4 games last year to score 49 points on their bench. We scored 49 points in a night. Now, granted, right, I get that this is versus a Charlotte team. I get this is versus a Charlotte team you're supposed to beat. I'm not hyping up last night's win and saying, oh, my God, the Bulls are dominant. They're going to be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. But what I am looking at is a lot of the teams around the league. I looked at that Cleveland game last night. I looked at that Boston game last night. 2 teams that are very good on the offensive end. How are the Bulls going to be able to compete with that? How are the Bulls going to be able to figure out how to come out on the winning end of those games? And I look at the defensive unit that the Bulls were able to put on the floor. We had a lineup on the floor last night of Ayo Dosunmu, Patrick Williams, Alex Caruso, Javonte Green, and I think they had Zach LaVine out there just to be a shooter. And that's without Andre Drummond being out there, right? Because then you throw Drummond in the mix. Now he's your big defensive center in the middle. Those are the things that excite me about this team. It's not that I know what Zach can do. Zach LaVine had a little bit of an off night last night. First back-to-back game he's played this season. Trying to get his body right. You could tell that he was a little bit off. Shot was a little bit short. Legs were dead. DeMar DeRozan's legs looked dead. Nikola Vucevic looked like he was tired. That's what happens on the second of a back-to-back. Guys look tired. So what do you have to do? Guess what? On the first of that back-to-back, Zach LaVine, he played 30-plus minutes, right? He came out, he cooks in the fourth quarter. I'd like to see that in the first. Give me that cook show in the first. You might be sitting in the fourth, might be a little more rested in these back-to-backs. But the Bulls being able to absolutely pick up the slack. Oh, I got you. Don't worry about that. We're going to get the job done here. The Bulls bench just saying we got it. Don't worry about it. Y'all take the night off. That's a win you don't get last season. And this is what I compared it to, right? These are the wins the Golden State Warriors get. These are the wins that the Golden State Warriors get. Again, right, versus much better competition. We've seen them do this. But these are the wins where Stephen Curry has a 3 for 15 day. Klay Thompson has a 4 for 20 day, right? And all of a sudden you're like, man, our stars are not playing well. I'm nervous. I hope that we're going to be able to figure this out. But then you see Jordan Poole come off of the bench. Oh, I got 30 for you. Don't worry about it. You see Andrew Wiggins come, oh, don't worry about this. I got 25 for you. This is those kind of wins. That's what we saw last night. That's how you get to that next level. It's about how deep your team is, how competitive your team is going to be on those nights where your stars just don't have to be your stars. Now, I want them to be the stars every night. I want Zach LaVine to give me 28 every night, but he's still working himself back into basketball shape. We understand that. I think the big thing for me, and the part that's irritated me a little bit, is in those first quarters, he doesn't come out as aggressive. I'm fine with you struggling a little bit in the fourth, which I want you to be the closer, but like, it's early in the season. I understand you haven't played basketball all off season. At the beginning of the season, though, I would like to see you going hard in the first, like you're walking into the court, hey, a little defense. That would be great, right? DeMar DeRozan, kind of same thing, right? They're getting going later on in these games, and it's been kind of the thing that's put the Bulls in a little bit of a hole in some of these games. And so seeing this now, right, seeing this Bulls team be able to come out and just go, seeing this team be able to go out there and have a bad night. The starting unit, I'm saying. And yet your bench unit picks you up. That's the part of this team that we did not have last season. That's the part of this team that I looked at and I was like, yeah, I'm glad that we've got that now, but that could be a struggle. Or that would have been a struggle last season. That's a game we lose last year. Damon saying, come on, Pat, we played the Hornets without LaMelo, Bridges, and Rozier. Absolutely, and they still would have lost it last year. I agree with you, and they still would have lost that game last year. Because Kelly Oubre went off for 24. I believe you had, who else got busy for them last night? You got 10, 6, and 5 out of Dennis Smith Jr. Plumlee gave you 11 and 13, right? Like you saw some balance scoring throughout, which is why the game was so close. But in that second half, the Bulls were really able to pull it away. That's what I'm talking about. That's a game last season that the Bulls do not get. And so now I'm looking at, right, like how are they going to match up versus other teams with that formula, knowing that they have this bench, knowing that they're able to go out there and make plays on a consistent basis. And it doesn't just have to be the starters. I did Locked On NBA last night. I'm looking around the NBA. Guess what? There's some pretty good teams around the NBA. There are some pretty good teams around the NBA. I mean, in the Eastern Conference, it is going to be a Tyson heavyweight fight week in and week out. Week in and week out. How are the Bulls going to be able to overcome that? You got to have the depth. You got to have that bench unit. Guess what? When Giannis, although it hasn't been much this season, when Giannis had those games last season where he was a little bit off, Bobby Portis able to pick up the slack. That's what makes the difference in this NBA. And there's a lot of teams right now that are cooking, and I'm like, man, but they're real top heavy. Like they're really top heavy right now. There's a lot of teams that are going out there dominate. Oh, man, the Cavaliers, right? The Cavaliers. And I am willing to say on this show, and I said this on Locked On NBA last night, I was wrong about the Cavaliers. They got that figured out. They got that figured out to the point where I am looking at that team. And guess what? The one thing I'm not wrong about, I said they were inefficient. They're still incredibly inefficient. Donovan Mitchell last night was like, what was he, like 10 for 27. Darius Garland last night was 9 for 11, or no, what was he? He was 9 for 17, I think, something like that. Still incredibly inefficient. No, he was 9 for 20 last night. But they're being inefficient opposite of each other. So when Donovan's off, Garland's on. When Garland's off, Donovan's on. And then when all else fails, you got a bunch of big dudes down low that are able to make plays, right? That's a team that I'm looking at. I'm willing to say that they are a better team than I thought that they would be this season. But I still got the Bulls over them. We also got to talk about something that I think was really exciting, and I want to listen in on Billy Donovan here in the post-game presser. Billy Donovan was talking after the game and kind of broke down his thoughts on what he saw last night and why the Bulls were able to get that win versus the Hornets. But he also just kind of talked about the P. Will situation, because Patrick Williams last night, and I said this when we started the show, Patrick Williams last night, for the first time in his NBA career, looked like the most dominant player on the basketball court. 16 points, 1 assist, 5 rebounds, but it's how he got him. And the Bulls ran plays for him. The Bulls got him active down low, absolutely moving people out of the way. Absolutely moving people out of the way. It's the first time all season that I've seen, it's the first time in his career that I've seen Patrick Williams look like that. And I was excited to see that from the young fella and hope that it's able to continue. Let's listen in on Billy Donovan and what he had to say last night. Oh, hold up. Why is this mud being weird? Oh. I know I was being weird. Give it a second. When you're running a one-man show, sometimes you got to fix it yourself. Boom.
He can
there we go.
Against Brooklyn, but I think the last several games, again, he's, not going to make every shot, but he can get that physicality, and I think you felt him out there athletically. So it's good to see him, make some jumps and take some strides, as a player. And I would say, as much as we've talked to him, showed him film, I think that he's been the one internally that's really, I think, kind of trying to bring it out in himself, and it's good to see him be able to do that.
That's what really stood out to me with what you said in New York last night, where you said, we don't have him in a box where all he has to do is pass and play defense. If you're telling us that, obviously you and the staff have been telling him that ad nauseum. So what do you think changed for him finally with this little stretch that he's on? I guess it's a better question for him, but what's your take on it?
He's probably a way better guy to ask than myself. He's very transparent and open guy. It's always been about the team. It's always been about winning, and will do whatever he can do. But I think that this is, in a lot of ways, really new for him. And what I mean by that is, listen, he played 1 year in college, and he came off the bench, and now the next year, COVID year, no summer league, no training camp. He's guarding some of the best players in the league, and last year he breaks his wrist. And I get everybody wants to see this progression, but in fairness to him, he just hasn't had a normal, 2-year NBA schedule like a lot of guys have had, and it's taken him some time. And I think every player develops and evolves at different rates and different speeds. He's extremely young. He's obviously very gifted and talented, and he's gotten better, and that's all I think you want, for a player to get better. Sometimes as a coach or as an organization, you want it to be a lot faster, or a lot quicker, but there's these ups and downs, but we have been asking him to do things that maybe in a lot of ways, he hasn't had to do, because he's always probably been very dominant. And now all of a sudden, as he's playing against guys as strong, as athletic, and a lot older, there's some learning and growing and getting used to that. And it's good to see him, respond and grow. And it was unfortunate last year, because I really felt last year had a great summer. I thought he had a great summer. Had another good summer this summer, but the broken hand and the 7 months being missed, it really threw off what he had kind of built up leading into training camp.
What do you like most about what he's doing right now?
I just think that, you feel him out there physically. I like the way he's rolling to the basket. I like the way he's defending. I like the way he's getting his body into plays, the way he's rebounding. I think he's running the floor harder. He's going after the ball. He's making plays. He's always been an unselfish, smart player. He's got really good skill level and good vision. But I just think that when you see him athletically, he's getting his talent into the game. And he's been assertive and he's been aggressive. And, those are decisions I think he's realized that he's had to make and needed to do, not only to help himself, but to help our team. But it would be more of those things. He's made some shots. He's made some pull-ups. He's made some threes. He's made some drops. Those things are all great. We want him doing those things. But it's the other things he's got to do night in and night out for us. And if he can maintain that, that only helps our team.
It's been 49-28. How key was your reserves tonight?
Yeah, they were huge. I mean, obviously, I think, I sensed it a little bit, and I'm not making excuses because all these guys playing back-to-backs, but there is always going to be some level of fatigue. And, I thought Vooch and Zach and DeMar had, good shots and never really kind of got into a flow or rhythm offensively, and, give Charlotte credit, for some of that. But also, I just thought there was opportunities for those guys. That the ball didn't go in the basket tonight, and it was good to see our bench step up. They had a lot of energy. I thought we got great minutes from Derek and Javante and Alex. I thought in the first half, Goran played really, really well, and then he played well in the third. So it was good to see that. And I think that's what we're trying to do, as a team, is not be so dominant on those guys that if they do have an off night, we have a hard time winning. I think that having everybody involved is going to help our team grow. And it also takes the pressure off those guys, where if they don't have a great shooting night, you're still giving yourself an opportunity to win.
Zach's scoring on a back-to-back, maybe not the highest, but just how did you feel about what he was able to physically do out there today?
I loved the way he played because he didn't shoot the ball well, but I thought the decision-making was really good. Like, he made quick, decisive decisions, and even though the ball didn't go in the basket, there wasn't a lot of holding it and trying to pull the ball back out and size this guy up and go one-on-one, and he was really making, when he was open, he shot it, or he drove it, and he was making decisive decisions. Listen, last night, he would probably agree that there were similar shots that he got in that fourth quarter against Brooklyn that he had tonight that just didn't go down. But he's got to keep playing with that mentality because it certainly helps our team.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Yep, thank you.
That was Billy Donovan, coach of the Chicago Bulls, breaking down kind of what he saw last night in that Hornets game, and what he saw from P. Will. I mean, that was the focal point of it for me, right? Like, I know what Zach is going to be able to do. I know what DeMar is going to be able to do. I know what Vooch is going to be able to do. He had a tough night last night. 14 and 13, rolls out of bed and gets a double-double. Legitimately, rolls out of bed and gets a double-double. So I know what those guys bring to the table already. It's the other guys that make the biggest difference for the Chicago Bulls. It's the other guys that are going to be able to step in. It's the other guys that have to be able to continue to play the way that they played to start this season. Ayo Dosunmu, P. Will, the last 4 or 5 games, right? I like how he's playing better. Ayo Dosunmu this season as a whole has been really good. Those are the pieces that get you to championship level. Those are the pieces that get you where, like, if they take a step, it's like, oh, we're in the Eastern Conference. Like, I came into this season saying that if P. Will was mediocre, 15 points, solid defense, 7-8 rebounds. If P. Will was mediocre, the Bulls could be a tough out in the second round, take you to 6 games, get you out of there, right? Maybe get to a game 7, maybe sneak in to an ECF, maybe. And it's a big maybe on the ladder, right? Maybe sneak into an ECF. That was a second round. That's my expectation this year. But if Ayo taking the step that he's taking, and I'm going to be honest with you, shutting guards down. The only guard that's had a good game versus Ayo Dosunmu this year has been Donovan Mitchell, who's had a good game versus everybody. Good game. It's the only guy you can look at and say, yeah, he really dominated that game. Kyrie Irving didn't have a good game versus Ayo Dosunmu. And actually has never had a good game versus Ayo Dosunmu. So that's the part of the team that takes you to that next step. That's the part that gets you from here to here. I know what Zach is. I know what DeMar is. I know what's Javante, what's Dragic, what's Drummond adding to the table. What are the as AD would say, untangibles? What are the intangibles of this team that get you to that next level? That's where P. Will has to come in. That's where I need to see the 16-7 P. Will that we saw. I'm sorry, 16-5 P. Will that we saw last night. That's where in 33 minutes his force has to be felt on the court. That's what gets you to championship level. Ayo Dosunmu taking a step. That's what gets you to championship level. You think about the Milwaukee Bucks. When did they get there? When did they get championship level? Giannis was already killing everybody. He was dominating. Did he have his best season that year? For sure. He won a championship. Of course, we're going to look at that as his best season. But did he actually have it? Like, it was actually a really, really freakishly great season. Did Bobby Portis play well? Absolutely. We knew what Bobby Portis was. What was Chris Middleton? Same thing he always is. Gets the job done. What changed? What changed? You brought in Drew Holiday. Now there's another piece that can do something. Now there's another piece that can throw everything up. Now there's another piece that adds just a little bit in. That's what the Bulls are missing. That's the one thing that I need to see consistently. Who's going to be that little piece? Oh yeah, Marco has been assigned back to the Windy City Bulls, by the way, which is probably a good sign as well that Andre Drummond will be back in the next game. Which is probably a good sign as well that Andre Drummond will be back. So that excites me. But if we can get this P. Will all year, sky's the limit for this Bulls team. I don't know if you're making an NBA Finals. Like, it's Milwaukee. I still got Milwaukee. They're still just murdering people. They're 7-0. They have an opportunity. If they win this game versus Minnesota, their next, 5-6 games are ridiculously simple teams, easy teams. I could absolutely see them going out there and going 13, 14-0. But sky's the limit for this team, in my opinion, if all of that is able to shake down, man. Hey, I appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us, man. I thank all the people who hit that like button and showed support to the page. Let's answer a couple of questions in the chat. Adrian says, hey, Pat, what moves do you think the Bulls should make at the trade deadline? We're really early at the trade deadline for trade deadline talk, but if you're going to do anything, it's got to be for a power forward. It's the one position that you're lightest at. P. Will, I like P. Will. I think that P. Will can be a solid defender for you. I don't know if he can consistently give you this offensive game, but I do think that he's a good defender. And he gives you that size, gives you a little bit of rebounding, but you got to have something else at the power forward position. And Billy Donovan hates all the bigs you have. He hates Marco. He hates Tony Bradley. I don't know if he actually hates him, but he just doesn't play in it. He doesn't even look their way. You'll never hear the call down hey, yep, your turn. Come on, Tony. You'll never hear that again, probably, this whole season. Lou Love says, hey, Pat, 9 games, what's your number one concern for the Bulls? Probably, we've seen it the last couple of games that they've done well, but they've also played against very subpar teams. But just keeping that first quarter close, starting that first quarter off strong. We haven't seen the Bulls do that consistently all season. Last couple of games, they've been better at it, but in three, they went on a 3-game stretch where they got down by 19 twice. That's crazy. They came back in both games, right? And it shows you that you have the talent there to play. But I think the Bulls kind of came out lollygagging a little bit in the first. And then it was hey, it's time to wake up. You know what I mean? So Robert says, what's up, Pat? Love the show. Appreciate that. Baki says, so he is hearing that Jack Sanborn could potentially start at middle linebacker and Morrow will move to the will linebacker. That'd be interesting. Maybe. I don't know. I guess like that's probably Sanborn's more comfortable position. So I wouldn't be mad at that. Jared Vanderbilt agenda. I'm going to keep moving it forward. Jared Vanderbilt's a nice player. I'll give you that. Kobe's handles are much improved too. Yeah, I just need to see some consistency offensively from Kobe. Kobe definitely, I'll say this. In one training camp, Kobe looks like a much better basketball player. He's only had one training camp in his career. And his one training camp, Kobe White looks like a much better basketball player. 110%. But hey, I am going to get up out of here, man. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with your boy. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. Make sure that you guys are showing love over in the Discord as well. Join up on the Discord, man. We'll be talking sports in there all day. I'm going to be having a couple of things drop today. Got a video from Kid coming you guys' way today. So be on the lookout for that, and then probably a short or something, just something hilarious that we've seen, bro. Hey, bro, that must have me dying yesterday with what's his name, with Colin Cowherd just being dumb, bro. The national nerds are hilarious. But hey, I appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. To continue watching our Chicago sports content, click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below, or just go over to the channel right now. You might as well keep watching. Just go over to the channel, click on the content,